Hey there, this video is excerpts from a workshop that I did recently. I hope that you'll enjoy it. Okay, let's just jump right into it. What exactly is money mindset? So I knew that I had some resistance to this. And I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and look it up. I'm going to look up the word mindset. And what I found is it said it was an established set of attitudes regarded as values or philosophy. And it can originate from social groups or cultural values or norms. And then it really does kind of cause you to adopt those certain behaviors and choices that align with, with the established attitudes there. Okay, I'm going to come back to the sort of overarching definition of mindset, and I want to talk about another variation where you can talk about having a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. There's all these different ways that people can want to improve themselves, and so that's having a growth mindset, is believing that there is room for growth. There are ways that I can maybe see things in a way that I haven't before, or I can explore doing things in a different way, right? That's what it is to have a growth mindset. And I feel like for a lot of folks, when they have a growth mindset, they look at failure as feedback. So let's talk then about a fixed mindset. I'm not going to focus on this too much because it's essentially just the opposite of a growth mindset. It's just when you believe that, I've already got all the information and there's really not a lot more for me to learn about or think about, or maybe there's a resistance to having different points of view or opinions about things, right? Somebody else's perspective and our own perspective, they each come with information from our own history, right? Like we influence our own perspectives about a lot of different topics, and money is one of them too. Okay, so I'm going to move on past this, and let's also talk about scarcity and abundance. So with a scarcity mindset, that's when you're looking at things with a lens of having unfulfilled needs. And that can mean like there's spending in order to try to accomplish happiness. Maybe others have things that you don't have and you want that. So there's, looking at that as far as like, oh, other people have those things and I don't have that, instead of just feeling good about the things that you do have. And scarcity mindset also is an indicator of having more near-term thinking or just like present term thinking. So not necessarily like really looking ahead to the future and how to set yourself up well, in the days, weeks, month, years ahead, right? It's really just kind of like, how do I get through today and then get through tomorrow and then get through the next day? Those are all signs of scarcity mindset. So with abundance mindset, this is a little bit more on, again, opposing, but it's gratitude for what you have. It's also giving back or being generous with what you do have, celebrating others' success. Okay, let's jump into some steps. I've got 5 different tips, steps, whatever you want to call them, for how to shift your money mindset. So I've just kind of got some notes down here. These are some of the thoughts that I want you to think about. Significant people. So not all of us have messages or stories that came from our parents or a parent or guardian or what have you. You may have had other influential people in your neighborhood. So again, this could be, like clergy, like if there was someone, within your church that was influential in your family, or, if you had a friend's mom that was, just kind of like a second mom to you or something like that. Anybody around you, maybe it was an employer, just the neighborhood guy that would come around and like, always be there when someone had a tragedy. These are the kind of people that I want you to just reflect on, and what kind of things did you observe about them? Now, are there significant events or influences? So if you have experienced maybe a parent or parents went through bankruptcy, or maybe your house was foreclosed, or maybe you had the nicest house on the block and you at one point realized, oh, we have the nicest house on the block, right? These don't all have to be like negative associations. Sometimes you have moments where you realize, oh man, I remember every year when my dad got a bonus, he would take us all out to dinner, or we would go school shop or like clothes shopping or something like that, right? Okay, some of the other things on the slide I've got here, I have like a dollar sign or an X. So if you want to like think about important people in your life, either now or in the past, and you can draw dollar signs or X's next to or on those people to think, money flowed in or out of this person. Like my dad earned the money, but for the most part, I think my mom spent it. I don't even know who paid the bills, but I know that when we went to the grocery store, mom spent the money. When we went back to school shopping, when we went to Target, mom spent the money, right? So even though she didn't earn, she did spend. So there's different correlations there. But you may have other people in your family that actually don't have any like financial impacts on your story, but you can still write them down just, for reference. Now, beliefs and attitudes, conscious or unconscious. As you start to think about these things, start to write down some of the thoughts that you have about it, or that come up for you. So then after you do this exercise, just, examine, identify, and reflect. All right, let me check our time here. Okay. So the second thing here is being mindful about negative self-talk. And if you think about, money mistakes maybe that you have made, not beating yourself up over it. Again, it's like my note, every day is a lesson. I know that I've made stupid financial decisions. I mean, just recently, I really was winging it, and I thought, I really doubt if they're going to be out here checking the meters on the parking at this hour. So I don't know, I'll feed the meter for like 30 minutes. And then I was in my little coffee meeting for 45, 50 minutes, something like that. And my app was telling me to, your time has expired. And I was like, yeah. And sure enough, I went out and I got a $35 ticket, when it would have cost me about 50 cents to feed that meter. And so that's frustrating, but same day, I pay the bill online and then I just let it go and forget about it, because I don't want to continue to beat myself up over it. And I would, I would continue to think about it and get down on myself about it, but things happen, mistakes happen. That's not really a mistake. That was like pseudo moderately intentional. I just didn't like continue to feed the meter. So, but I also don't want to like let that hang over me. So now I make sure I'm always on top of that meter and, I'm just going to move on from it. So don't beat yourself up over mistakes. You can acknowledge them and feel the guilt or the suck of that moment, but then move on from it. Right. And just like promise to do better the next time. That's the best we can hope for. Comparison. Again, this is really being mindful that you are not looking at what others have, in comparison to what you have. And even sometimes that's if you have more than somebody else, right? You can do comparisons both ways. You can be looking at it as, I wish I had what they have, or like, ooh, I feel bad that I have so much more than they have, so just be mindful of comparison, and, kind of run your own race, but make sure that you are aware of what your own goals are with your money, and making sure that you're doing what you need to be doing to work towards that, running your own race, right? Hopefully that makes sense. And then worthiness. So I was at an event recently and there was some talk about whether or not you feel worthy of, charging for your services or earning what you're worth, things like that. And this is where I feel like if that's something that you struggle with, then I do think that at that point you should seek out additional resources in order to really help you, kind of look into that and figure out what that's about. Now, when I say look into further resources, this can be, just reading a book, listening to podcasts, going to therapy, seeking out coaching. There's a lot of different like money mindset, coaches and information out there online. So there's a lot of different ways that you can learn. I'm not going to say any one or the other is right for you, but just if it's something that you feel like I'm never going to get ahead because, I don't feel like, I'm worthy of charging this amount for my services, or, I can't get a better job because I'm not worthy of, this raise, stuff like that. So anyway, just be mindful of that. And sometimes there's deeper work that we need to look at there. Guiding your money, I just want you to be intentional. You can call it budgeting, you can call it cash flow planning, you can call it, whatever you want. But I do think that you need to be the guide to make sure that you are telling your money where you want it to go, right? Making sure that you're taking care of your basic needs first, and then what are your goals for your money, and then align everything there. Okay, so monitoring your cash flow. This is essentially like just making sure that you're being watchful of what is happening with your money. But not only just, and this could just sound like tracking your expenses, right? Like tracking your spending, making sure that you know where your money is going. But also, I want you to be mindful of, how does it make you feel? How do you feel when you're paying bills? How do you feel when you're buying things for yourself? How do you feel when you're buying things for other people? And how do you feel when money comes into you? Whether it's a paycheck, or, you found some money, or someone said, hey, you want a gift card, like all these different things. How does it make you feel? I know that I feel so much better when I'm buying things for other people than when I'm buying things for myself. Something to be aware of, right? Because also you can be an overgiver, and that's detrimental to your own financial success. So you've got to always be aware of how these things, play out for you in your life. Okay, and then number 5 is just having a commitment to growth, change, development, etc. And this can look any way you want it to look. This has to be right for you. So I put right at the top here, financial friend groups. I just do not think enough of us talk about money in a safe space with others. And I think that we all need to make that a better practice. I am certainly well aware. I was raised in a home where it just was, I guess I would say, taboo to talk about money. It's rude if you ask about someone's income, or, we don't talk about how much we're spending or anything like that. We just don't talk about it. So I never heard any bad messages around money, nor any good messages around money. So I feel like when you are an adult, sometimes you don't have a frame of reference, or you only have one frame of reference. So I think it's really important to find friend groups. But I also like to look at, Meetup. And again, finding people who are doing what you want to be doing. If you want to be learning more about investing, if you want to be learning more about real estate, if you want to be learning more about crypto, whatever it is that you want to be learning more about, financial independence, there are groups out there in real life if that's your jam. If you want to be at home, there's all kinds of online groups as well. But I think find people where you want to learn from them, but you also can contribute to the conversation. So anyway, do that and commit to, either being a leader or getting into a group where you all share openly. Also, lots of books. I mean, there are so many personal finance books out there, but it doesn't have to be just personal finance. I find that some of the most educational things that I read and really learn from a lot are books about communication. And I think communication has changed so much in my life over the past 3 years that the relationships that I have are so different than the relationships that I used to have. And it's all about communication. Podcasts, again, so many out there, online courses, and then of course, coaching. Okay, thanks for watching. Next, I want you to check out this video that is all about reasons why you might overspend because of relationships. I think it's super important. And also, if you want to learn more and get into my upcoming group coaching program, check out the link in the description below. I'll see you soon.